So when are you actually good enough to start performing on stage? Like, what skills do you need? And are there a certain amount of rehearsals you need to do first? Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly how to know when you are ready. Hey, and welcome to Music Space, where we help working musicians just like you learn how to quickly and easily make a living with your craft. So if you're new here to the channel, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you'll be notified when new videos are uploaded. So first, I want to say that the subject matter of this video deals with how to know if you're ready to start gigging. But this video really is for you no matter where you are in your musical journey. The principles I'll discuss here will apply to you no matter if you're just beginning or starting a band and want to get into gigging, or if you're a seasoned musician looking to go to the next level in your career. So let's get the obvious out of the way first. Whether or not you're ready is ultimately subjective. Really, what being ready is for one musician, artist, or band is something different, or maybe something different for another artist or musician or band. But there is sort of a base level that you need to meet because you don't want to get on stage and just not know anything. But being ready is really something that comes with experience. It's sort of like driving a car. You really don't know how to drive a car until you've gotten behind that wheel and gotten on the road and, maybe made a few mess ups a few times to see how that car works and to know if you're ready to keep driving it. So there is really a big part of this being ready thing where you actually have to do it to be ready to do it. And also being ready has a lot to do with just trying to limit the potential major problems and issues that you may face while on stage by preparing for them in advance. But I really want to encourage you that no matter where you are in your journey, there is space for you in this industry. So you don't necessarily need to be this top of the line professional or pro musician to be considered ready. Just like driving a car, you get better and better at it over time, and eventually you learn the ropes. It really is meant to be a process, and you can't fear the sort of arbitrary lines of entry that a lot of people place on musicians with trying to be ready and all of that. Now, that said, I want to give you a few guidepost questions to follow and ask yourself to help you know when or if you are ready. Now, right before we get to that, if you're getting value out of this video so far, do me a quick favor and hit the like button on this video. Go ahead and do that now. That helps with the YouTube algorithms and helps this video get shared and things like that. So I would appreciate that. So one of the guidepost questions to ask is very simple, and it's, do you have enough material to cover the show? Meaning, do you have enough songs on your set list to cover an entire gig? Usually a gig is anywhere from 2 to 3 hours to 4 hours, and maybe less, sometimes more. But you need to ask the question of whether or not you have enough songs, whether or not you know enough songs and can perform enough songs to cover that entire show. And also, are you able to play the songs reasonably close to the recordings? Assuming, of course, you're doing cover songs. Like, will people recognize the song that you're performing? Can you actually play Uptown Funk or 24 Karat Magic or Brown Eyed Girl or Don't Stop Believing? Any of those songs, can you play them reasonably close to the recording so that people can understand and recognize that that's the song you're playing? And if you don't have enough material or songs on your set list and you aren't able to perform the songs reasonably close to the recordings, perhaps you need to do that before you take a gig. And another thing about the songs, can you play them fluidly? Like, can you get through them without any major mistakes or any major mess ups? That's something that's very important. If you think about like some of the audition shows like American Idol and America's Got Talent and all of that, like a lot of times you hear them audition with these songs and they can't get through the full song without cracking their voice or without going flat or sharp or something like that. And although some of those things are minor mistakes, especially when you have a band behind you, they aren't as recognizable. But that is something that you need to consider when, asking the question of whether or not you're ready for a gig. Can you actually get through the songs fluidly? Now, another guidepost question to ask is, do you have all of the equipment needed to perform the gigs that you want to do successfully? Like instruments and microphones and PA systems and amps and all of that you may need. And, that may differ from gig to gig. You may have some gigs where you show up and they have that stuff already, where you simply have to plug in. But, you may play others where you don't have that stuff and you need to bring it. So, do you have the necessary equipment? Does your drummer have his own drums? Does your keyboard player have his own keyboards? Do your singers have their own mics, or do they need to bring mics? Equipment and things like PA systems are something that you'll probably be building up and buying over time, but you do need some sort of foundational things to start. Again, like the things I named, the drummer having his own drums. Usually nobody's going to provide you a drum set. And this next guidepost question is related to that, but are you physically able to gig? You know, equipment is heavy. All of this PA equipment and keyboards and drums and all of that stuff that you have to carry around takes a toll on your body. I know quite a few, even young age musicians who have health problems, things like back and knee problems from carrying equipment around and having to stand up and play guitars with, the strap and a heavy guitar or heavy bass on their shoulders for hours at a time, or you're sitting on a drum throne with no back support to it. All of these things are considerations when you're talking about getting into gigging. So are you physically able to gig? That's something that you may want to consider. Now, another guidepost question to ask is, have you put your show and set list together such that you can move through it fluidly and move from song to song, and you have your things like your talking breaks and things like that where you're going to engage the audience? This is something that a lot of musicians and bands neglect. They create this divide between them and the audience by not engaging them. And essentially you have this thing going on where they're just on stage performing and in their own world doing their thing, while the audience is out here, maybe waiting to be engaged, wanting to tip and things like that, but there's no connection between the two. So this is important to think about when you're preparing for gigs and getting ready for gigs. Do you have your show set up to where you can move through it fluidly and, engage your audience? Now, another guidepost question to ask is, do you know how to deal with contracts and exchange of money? This is something that is crucially important. One of the things that you want to start getting right off top when you're getting into gigging and making business deals with people is learning how to make those deals correctly. You want to do the things that best put you in a situation where you don't have to deal with things like janky promoters not paying you on time and things like that, and not signing contracts or not having an agreement between you and the people you're playing for. Now, dealing with contracts and money is something that you really want to nail down, and I've done some videos on those before, and you can check them out on your screen here.